All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about movable chord shapes. And this is a really great way of getting explorative on your guitar, looking for some new sounds. What I'm going to do is just take open chords that we've been talking about or that we already know how to play, and I'm going to start exploring moving them around the guitar. So for instance, if I just take this D chord here and I move it up, I can move it in various different places and get different kinds of sounds. Okay, now some of the sounds might be pleasant, some might not. And again, this is kind of a personal preference, right? If I go, I don't really jive with that sound, although somebody else might, which is perfectly fine. That's the beauty of music. But if I go up 2 frets or a whole step, if I just move 1 fret, it's called a half step. But if I move up 2 frets, I've got a song, right? That's actually a little idea out of Wholehearted from Extreme, okay? And they use that all over the place. If I'm going, there's another song by Styx. I can't remember the name of it. There's another one that uses it all over the place, though. But anyway, that's in all kinds of different songs. So you can learn to move your chords around the guitar. Check this out. I'm going to take an E chord and move it up. So you can get some really pretty sounds by moving chords around. Now, the ones I'm showing you are kind of the most traditional places to move them, but what makes them interesting, again, is kind of the idea of these constant notes right between them. When I'm doing this, the only thing that's really constant is the 4th string, okay? The rest of it's moving around. But when I make an E chord, these bottom strings stay the same, which gives it kind of a continuity as you're moving around the guitar. So again, there's some really neat things that you can make up doing stuff like that. I remember always loving like the end of every 80s song ever, any 80s ballad, they always went like this. And I never knew what they were doing, and it was like, oh, they're just taking a G chord, C, and they're just sliding up a whole step. So then, you just started using the bottom of this. And it's a great way to just tag a song, right? If you're in the key of G, you can just do something like that, which is kind of fun. Okay, so there's lots of neat things that you can do for moving chords around the guitar. Okay, there's all kinds of different ways that you can make sounds. You just have to explore a little bit. Like if you move a half step, almost any time you move a half step, it's going to sound really bizarre. Okay, not always, but just in general, when you move a whole step, you're going to get a little bit different kind of sound. Okay, this one is an Alice in Chains song. It looks like this. I think this is called Brother, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm taking an A7 chord, which is an A chord without the middle note, however you want to finger it, and it moves up a half step and then a whole step, which sounds pretty cool. A little darker, though. So there's some really cool stuff that you can do with movable chord shapes, okay? Learning to move things up and down the guitar instead of always just thinking block, right? You don't have to do that all the time, right? There's lots of times where if somebody else is playing a D chord, I might take the C and move it up to this and play D this way. C a whole step higher is D. Okay, I just like the sound of it. And it doesn't clash with their D chord. It would work just fine. Okay, so I look for different ways of playing some of these chords. It just sounds kind of interesting. So again, moving even further out of this, we started with regular chords, then we started learning how we can embellish those chords. And again, no matter what it is that you embellish, everything has a name, right? Everything has a theoretical name. Some of them might be kind of wacky, but everything's got a name. But you're learning how to sort of organically explore the sounds that you can make with open chords. Now we're taking those open chords and we're learning how to move them up and down the guitar to create some new things by using movable chord shapes, which is really neat as well. So the ones I really want you to try and focus on right now is moving that D around. Okay. Trying to think if there's a Supertramp song, I don't know if it's Give a Little Bit or which one that uses a lot of this stuff too. But just exploring those sounds. So I'm doing D on the 2nd fret. I'm just looking at my first 2 fingers here. 4th fret, 7th fret, and 10th fret. And especially 7th and 9th frets. Those are really good ones. The C chord, I usually just do whole step, but you could do other ones. Like up at the 10th fret. I'm looking at my ring finger now. Up at the 10th fret sounds kind of nice. Pretty sound. I'm moving from 10th fret to 8th fret. Just, again, just exploring creativity. But you're going to play something like that and somebody's going to go, oh, wow, that sounds really neat, because it's not just block chords, right? And then, of course, we've got our E chord, which we went from, we'll just call this 0. And then let's not call it. Let's call it 2, where these 2 fingers are. So we're on the 2nd fret, then I'm going to go up to the 7th fret and the 9th fret. Again, just a visual picture, however it is for you to find them. Right? Which sounds way different than... which is blocky again. And I don't mean blocky is bad. Sometimes blocks are what we want. We want these blocks of sound. But sometimes it just sounds very organic and flowing to just move that chord shape around. So a really great idea for you to explore.